We specialise in protecting, preserving and growing your wealth. Blacktower Financial Management, the team you want by your side. Visit blacktowerfm.com.
Let's get on to the MODELO 720 then in Spain. This is something we've become used to. It's been challenged before in taken to the EU and the EC, and it has again. What happened?
Right, okay. A few years ago, the EU made a ruling that the fines were disproportionate to the crime. However, Spain chose to ignore that ruling. It went to the Supreme Court in the EU, and they have made a ruling that came out on the 28th of January 2022. And it declared null and void certain sections of the MODELO 720, but agreed that doing the MODELO 720 was still a legal requirement in Spain. It hasn't been abolished, and it affects any tax resident in Spain that has overseas assets worth over €50,000 in certain three classes. So it still remains in force. You still have to do it. The bits they've said that are null and void is the disproportionate fines of up to 150%. And fines for not disclosing all financial data or doing it wrong. So this still has to be done by the 31st of March each year. You do it once, and then you don't need to do it every single year unless you sell off one thing completely or the value of something goes up more than €20,000 during a year. Yep. So once you've done the MODELO 720, you don't need to redo it every year. You only do it if those two things apply. So Spain so far, since inception in 2012 of the MODELO 720, have taken over €230 million in fines. These fines, if they are in relation to what the EU has ruled are null and void, can now be claimed back. So you can claim a rebate for the fines, and you can get your legal costs on top. So if any of you were fined, and the fines were very, very hefty at the beginning, you need to go and see your accountant and ask them to set up the procedure to get that money back for you. The fines are not legal, but the MODELO 720 is. So there's been loads of rumours, the 720 has been abolished. No, the EU has confirmed the 720 is legal. It needs to be done by anyone who is a tax resident in Spain who holds overseas assets. So no matter what you hear down the pub, what your friends tell you, what the gossip is, you have to do it. If you don't do it, you can still be fined, but the fines will be less onerous. They won't be so high. I think the average fine is about €150 for doing things incorrectly on a tax return. I'm not sure, but there'll be a lot less, but you'll still be fined. And if you do not do it and you get caught out, obviously then the tax office may think, what else are you hiding? And they may then do a full audit, and it may become a nightmare. So if you have got assets overseas, that's bank accounts. If you've got 4 bank accounts, they all hold, say, 15,000 or, you have to report all of them. It's if the total of all your bank accounts and deposit accounts come to over €50,000 as at the 31st of December 2021, using the exchange rate of that day, then every single one needs to be reported. Again, if you have a joint bank account for €50,000 or more, in pounds or equivalent, you need to report it. Not just say, you've only got half of it, so it's 25. They say, no, you have access to the full 50. You don't get taxed on it, but what it does mean, if they want to, they can check if you say have got a deposit account, that if you have been on interest at the moment, you won't be. But when people were, they were declaring the interest they were getting on their deposit accounts, etc. It's not for tax purposes. It's an audit purpose to make sure they know what you have, all across the world outside Spain. Yeah. However, if you do an investment with a financial advisor in Spain and you do something that's called an investment that's tax compliant in Spain, even though they're usually held in Luxembourg or Dublin, they do not need reporting on a MODELO 720. Because these companies report them for you. So that's why so many people are quite keen on doing investments in one of these, what we call products, because it means you don't have to worry about the MODELO 720. You're never, ever going to have a problem with it. Also, if you take money out, if there's tax due, they pay the tax on your behalf. And also, if you do one of these products, as it's held outside Spain, if you die and your beneficiaries live outside Spain, they're not subject to Spanish inheritance tax, which is another thing that's quite onerous and quite high in Spain. Yeah. But please, if you have thought, I don't need to do the MODELO 720, and you have assets over €50,000, please talk to your accountant, because yes, you do need to do it, and by the 31st of March.
I don't need to do the MODELO 720. I can tell you that much now. If we're talking over 50,000 assets abroad. But yes, it will apply to people maybe for the first time if they haven't done one before. So that's 31st of March.
It is. You've got 3 categories. The first category covers your bank accounts, like deposit accounts, current accounts. The next category covers a multitude of things like pensions, investments. So usually people do have something in the second category that comes up to over 50,000 if you add them together, so they have to report. And the third section is property overseas. So just, talk to your accountant or gestoria. Just make sure that they understand what assets you have, and they can tell you whether they should be reported or not. And then it's up to you. Obviously you may decide, no, I'm not going to report it, but by law you should.
Listening and exceeding expectations for over 31 years. Blacktower Financial Management, the team you want by your side. Visit blacktowerfm.com.